Thank you for joining me this evening for image transfers. And I'm going to be showing you several ways of doing image transfers. It can be as simple as applying heat to an image. And I have a heat tool here that I'll be showing you how I use. So it's as simple as applying heat or as complicated as using acrylic mediums. So I'm going to be showing you several ways that I like to apply images to my various artworks. And it could be an art journal, it could be a painting that you're working on, it could just be some people like to do image transfers onto a wooden panel. There are all different ways that you can use image transfers. And I'm going to show you my favorite book for image transfers. I like this book because it gives you many different options, and then it has projects for each option. So this is the book. It's called Image Transfer Workshop. And there are some terrific, the authors, Darlene Olivia McElroy and Sandra Duran Wilson. But I will have this book linked in the description of the video. This book's been around for a long time, but I just see how they show you step by step in the book exactly what to do. So an excellent reference. They show you many, many, many more ways that I'm showing tonight, but we're just getting a taste, right, this evening. Um, Maybe to turn you on to doing image transfers. I love doing image transfers. Here is a sample of an image transfer that I did onto a piece of tissue paper that I colored. So you can see on the back here, there's gold and there's kind of a purplish blue to the paper and some green on the front here. And then this is an image that I took a photograph at the San Francisco Asian Art Museum. And they have many beautiful Buddhas there. And so I took a picture of this one. And so I am making a transfer with my own image. We'll be doing that together this evening. But I wanted to show you an example of one way that I use it. And I love that right through the face here, you can see some of this gold, which was gold paint that I poured onto the paper. And it really shows through the image transfer. And I love that. Thanks for the hearts. I appreciate it. But this is a piece that I will then add onto a larger piece of artwork like that, and it'll just become an element in my various pieces of artwork. Now, here are some other books that I enjoy, and they are books that have images in them. So there are many types of imagery books that you can find. And this one I actually showed last week. It's botanical art. It is by a company called Vault Editions or Editions Vault. Again, I'll have these linked in the description of the video on YouTube. And what I love about this one is it gives you black and white copyright free images. These are actually images that are old images that are supposed to be in the public domain. Okay. Oh, look at those lotus. They're so beautiful. So they come like this, just the black and white, and then you can colorize them. And I'm going to show you how to do that as well. And then this one that I showed last week, art forms in nature. So this is actually where I got the froggies from. And you can see that this is a compendium of artworks from the early 1900s, right around 1900, of a particular German artist. And the cool thing is that I'll show you or explain to you how you print that. And then you would be able to do the exact same transfer process that I'm showing you now. And what I love about doing transfers is, for instance, with these women. So here is this a Dover book? Yes, I love the Dover books. So if you're not familiar, Dover makes books that are, you can reproduce the images out of them. They're made for reference for us as artists, for us to use in our various graphic arts, graphic design, that kind of thing. And so, for instance, this is a book of women through the ages. And so you see all the tabs I have for all of my favorite images that are in here. But let me just take one page, for instance, here. And again, this is like the black and white line art. But the cool thing is with image transfers, and what I was just going to mention in that other book, is that if I took this and I made a transfer skin out of it, so I'm going to show you a transfer skin right now. There you go. This is a transfer skin of, there's that same Buddha, right? That I photographed in the museum. And that is a skin made from an image. And then I put acrylic mediums on it. And the cool thing about using an image like this as a skin is I can put it on my artwork on this side, or I can twist it and I can put it on that side. And so if you think about it, if you had an image like this, and you had this woman facing this direction, but you wanted her facing this direction. If you make yourself an acrylic skin, like I'm going to show you, you can turn her face either direction in the work that you're doing. Isn't that cool? So that you can decide for yourself what position you want to put that that artwork in, or that image in the piece, the journal, or the artwork that you're working on. So love this reference. Love this women through the ages reference. And that is a Dover book. Now, it's important when you're working with somebody else's imagery. So, not your photograph. Like, for instance, this is my photograph, right? And then this is a drawing that I did of Lotus. So, this right here, can you see that? That is my drawing. Okay. So, I own the copyright on that. But if you're looking at a book like this and you want to uh, use the imagery in the book, you need to be sure that you read the like the copyright release, because for instance in the beginning of the book here and over here they give you the information about how you're allowed to use the images. Okay, and I think that's really important. You don't want to be caught in a copyright scandal, right? As artists, we always have to be super careful about that. Now, some of the other Dover books, like this one, this is an older Dover book, and you see how it has a CD in it. So, actually, in the back of the book here is a CD. So, if you have a CD reader in your computer or an external CD reader, um, aw, thank y'all. I see a nice conversation going, and Abstractory says, excited to learn about this. And I see uh, over on YouTube, somebody said drawing Indonesian. Nice, nice. Okay. Um, and so it's nice with the CD because if you look at these images, this happens to be Turkish images. Each one of them here, see, there's a number right there. And so that number, which would be this element, can be found on this CD. Okay. So that you would be able to isolate just that element and then blow it up bigger or make it smaller, change the size, overlap different ones, use it, like import it into a program like Canva, and then use it to do all kinds of fun digital type stuff. So that's the cool thing about these. Now, this one has the CD right with the book, right? And if you find a book like this and you're treasure hunting, whether you're treasure hunting on Whatnot, like an online platform, or if you're out live doing it, then what you want to do is you want to look and see, is the CD in the back of the book or not. I mean, it may not matter to you because I can take a picture of these and just cut them out in Canva and do all kinds of work. But back in the day when this book was created, that was the way that they did it. And I wanted to go back to this book, The Art Forms in Nature, and notice it says download included. So the cool thing with the um, Editions Vault books, and there's a whole series of them, is that when you buy the book, in the back of the book, there is a code. And all you have to do is go to the page on the website and put in the code, and boop, the whole file of all of these pictures comes down, and then you can print them and use them at, as the license tells you. And so again, in the beginning of this book also, that it discusses on one of these pages here what the use is, what you can do in terms of using the images, what you're authorized to do. Okay, and then this one, I really love this. Now, this a Dover book? Oh, see, sometimes it doesn't say Dover on the front, but it says Dover on the side. So this is one of the reference books similar to the Women, and it's a treasury of Chinese design motifs. So you can find Chinese motifs, Japanese motifs, um, American Indian, um, Indian, the Turkish that I have there, Greek, just all kinds of stuff. Love it. Oh, somebody said nice nail polish on YouTube. Thank you. I appreciate it. Did it just for the show, right? Have to have nice nails for the show. Um, so I have been doing image transfers for years, and I'm going to show you right here that I have a book, big book, okay, that allows me to do wet media, because when I'm doing the transfers that use the acrylic mediums, I need to get them wet, okay? And so I use a wet media book. You can even use just plain watercolor paper, will work just fine, because watercolor paper is used to receiving water, right? And so this is, geez, from a lot of years ago. I don't even know how old it is. Let's see, is there a date? 2010. Okay, I've been using this book for a long time. But you can see, this is what I recommend that you do when you start your transfers journey, is you see how that didn't work. That one kind of worked. That one kind of didn't work. You see what I'm doing here is I'm trying different types of papers and different types of prints. Maybe I'm printing on an inkjet printer. Maybe I'm printing on a copier machine like you would have at a UPS store or FedEx, Kinko's, or something like that. So you need to experiment with your different paper grades and your different um, ways to print the images in order to see what works better and what doesn't work at all, right? And I'm going to be sharing you some of the successes. Some of what I've found actually does work. Now, like I showed you earlier, here's another piece of my hand painted tissue. And you can see again some images. Now, these are not images of photographs that I took myself. These are images, copyright images. So I use Pixabay and I use Unsplash, and those are the places that I get their royalty-free imagery. Now, that doesn't mean that the person who took the photograph still maintains the copyright. That means you can't take it and publish it in a book, but you can certainly take the images and use it for yourself. So these are some more transfers that I did onto this handmade paper. And then here are some of my images on a transfer paper. This is a kind of paper that's made to like tear away. It's called a transfer paper. But can you see the shiny on the front of it? So those are my images that I took at the museum. And if you see the shimmer, that is acrylic medium. So I'm going to be showing you that in a little bit, but I wanted to let you know these are ones that I've prepared that I took the images. Now I took these and I printed them on a big copier machine. And I took my own paper with me, which is a special paper called a transfer paper, image transfer paper that you can find. And image transfer paper is strong enough to go through the various printers, but it is the type of paper that is weak enough that when you get it wet, you can get most of it off of the back of the image. Okay. And so I took my own paper and I went to a copy center and I ran, I guess Office Depot, you can do that, and Staples too. I ran this through the printer. And so these are laser or big copier images. Okay, that's what I've found works the best. Can you do it with your inkjet printer? Yes, you can. However, you're going to get the lighter images. You know how I was showing you those first few that I said here are some experiments? The lighter images are when I use an inkjet printer. So do you see this one right here where it's super light? Um, Let me see, did I write there? Yeah, inkjet, Epson inkjet printer. And I did the print on the inkjet as a draft, meaning it didn't use as much ink because I wanted something that was very light. But that came off of an inkjet printer as opposed to coming off of a like these that came off of a big copier machine. Okay. So that's one of the main tricks. Now, um, you're going to notice here on this page, do you see all the notes I have? I have notes on the top, I have notes on the bottom, I have all kinds of notes. And that's so that I know, let's see, if I use this golden soft gel matte medium, this is what my result, and an inkjet print, this is the result that I'm going to get. This other one, inkjet print on plain paper. So it's a way for me to keep track of all the tests that I'm doing. But I'm going to share with you tonight what I know works perfectly, and then that's what I'm going to recommend that y'all do. Okay, so I'm going to put this book away because after 15 years of practicing transfers, I'm going to show you exactly what works beautifully. Right? That's why you came here. Now I have a book. This is just a regular notebook. Binder. And in the binder, what I do is I keep, hold on a second, I keep imagery. So if I find images that I like you see this is actually images that were stamped images. So I have rubber stamps and I like the rubber stamps. So these happen to all be, here, let me pull these out of here. So it'll be easier than holding the whole thing up. So these happen to have like a seashell ocean theme, right? And what I did was I took my stamps and I stamped them onto a piece of paper. And then that became a paper that I can now take to a copier machine and run it through the copier. And then these become items then that can be transferred. Or I can just take this, photograph it with my phone, and then print it to my inkjet printer and then use it with the inkjet printer. Just know that if I'm doing this with the inkjet printer, that it's not going to come out as dark as this. It's going to come out a little lighter. Okay. And this is stamps. Thank you. Thanks for the hearts. I appreciate it. Oh, there's somebody from Turkey over on YouTube. Welcome in. Okay, so um, hold on just 1 minute. There we go. And this is um, images that I sketched, right, of koi fish. So I took one image, I put it on my computer, and I changed the size. So I reduced the size, and now I have one sheet that can run through the printer, and I have multiple sizes of the same fish, right? There we go. So that's another idea for imagery. Now um, I have found through various, just treasure hunting. Um, this is, what do they call it? Architectural maps. And I think the architectural maps are so cool. So this happens to be like a land map, right? And what I did was I just reduced it and took a copy of it. And now I can take this and I can, if I want to, I can make a transfer out of it. I also love to take pages of old music. There you go. And then that makes a really nice transfer as well. Now, something you have to be concerned about when you're doing transfers is that the depending on which way we're doing it, we can do a direct application of the image onto a surface. That's one of the things that we do with heat. We put the image down and we put heat on it, and then that will give us a mirror image of what it is that we are trying to do. So, for instance, here, when you put it down and then you heat it, you're going to get a mirror image. So you have to, if you have any words, you have to look at it as though you were looking at it from the back because you're going to be putting it down on top and then transferring it, right? So you want to be sure that the words are going to be going in the right direction. So sometimes I will take my paper and I'll go to the copier machine or I'll ask it on my inkjet to do the mirror image of it. And then that way, if I'm doing something, oh, thanks for the hearts over on YouTube. I appreciate it. Um, so if I'm doing a direct application, I know if there's any writing on it at all, or if the, depending on what the image looks like to me, to my eyes this way, bear in mind, a direct application is going to flip it to a mirror image. So just kind of look at the back of it and see. That'll kind of give you an idea of what it is you're going to end up getting there. Okay, so I do often take my artworks or the pages, and this was a stamp, for instance. This is in my reference book here. So this was a stamp, and I did the stamping. So I took a stamp and I went boop, 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 boop on a piece of paper like that, piece of white paper. And then I took photograph of it, and in my computer program, I mirror imaged it. Okay, so that this is now ready for me to run through a big copier to get a toner, what they call a toner copy, right? And it's currently backwards, but if I were to look at it with the light, I don't know if you can see through there. Now you'll be able to read it correctly because this is an image that's ready for direct application down into a surface. Okay. So I think that's enough examples of that, right? But I have a whole book here that's just full of all kinds of images that I collect. Yes, if you're a paper artist, you collect, right? You collect a lot of imagery. So I'm just going to put these back in here. Let me see, what else do I have in here? I showed you just a second ago that picture of the lotus. So that's a drawing that I did, and that's a larger size. But of course, I've reduced it, and I have it in many different sizes now. As a matter of fact, here's another size right here. That's the back of the page, and those are smaller ones. So you just tell the printer what size you want to print it, and away it goes. Now, what I do when I've taken the images and I've printed them, I mark on them here. For instance, this says inkjet regular. Okay, original, meaning that's the original way that they looked in the book. And then this one is original, is the same thing, but mirror image. I don't know if you can see where I wrote the word mirror right there. Okay. And then um, this one I made in a copy. So it's the same image, but I made it in a copier. So you may be able to see there, it says copier. And then this is original, meaning I haven't flipped it. I didn't flip it to get a mirror image. Okay. So I think it's and even on the back here, do you see where I wrote the word mirror and copier? Because sometimes I'm working with the images this way. And so I wrote on the back notes for myself. So here's another one. See where I was writing all over it, so that if I cut this page, let's say that I cut it across here, I'm still going to have my notes as to what it is that the images are. And so that becomes very important as you're doing your various image transfers. Now, here I have envelopes, and see where this says inkjet, and then this one says copier, right? Can you see that? Copier versus inkjet. So I know these are inkjet images, copier images for the various types of transfers I may be doing. And then this is an envelope that has what I was going to take to the copy shop in order to make copies of it. So there's a bunch of the full sheets in here where these envelopes have sheets that I've cut up, like cut tons of them. Oh, I want that image. I want that image. And I just cut them out before I transfer them. So that's how I store them. And that's how I prepare them to take to the copy shop. All right. So let me put those away. And all right. Where do I put things? Ah, now, let me think of some other things that we're going to need or that I'm going to use tonight. So some other supplies besides the books and besides the images is paper. So I usually use, like I said, watercolor paper. This is my typical Canson XL paper. Now, what I've done is I've prepared this paper with mediums. So I have the golden polymer medium that I'm going to be introducing to you, and then I have the Pebeo gel medium. So these are both acrylic mediums. So an acrylic paint has color, and an acrylic medium is an acrylic paint base, but it has no color in it. Okay. And so that's what we're going to be using. That's one of the tricks for doing your image transfers is to learn how to use your acrylic mediums. So besides doing it, so this is regular, what's called cold press. It has a little bit of texture to it. Um, paper, watercolor paper. And then this is what we call hot press paper. So here is hot press, and I'll show you the front of it. It's my Fabriano studio, and it's hot press watercolor paper. So what that means is the surface is smooth. So the nice thing is if you use a smooth surface, you get a beautiful transfer. If you're interested in transferring directly onto your surface. Sometimes you want a cleaner transfer. It's not always as clean when you do it like this. When you make a skin, it's not always as clean. So sometimes you want to transfer directly onto the surface. And so I find the smooth papers work really nicely. So I could do my whole artwork on here and the paper surface is smooth and I'm going to get beautiful transfers that way. And then also, we have here your typical, like this is a canvas. So yes, you can transfer onto canvas. The trick is, of course, you see the shine right there. So I coated the canvas first with my mediums, and then I did my transfers onto there. So we're going to be walking through this um, as we do it. We're also going to use some parchment paper because heating is one method. As a matter of fact, on here, these are little where I used heat to put these images on here. And that was using the heat tip. This is a heat tool this is actually called a transfer tool. And it has a flat head right there. So it gets hot. And then we can use that to transfer our image onto a surface. And when we're doing that, I like to use a piece of parchment paper. So that's this right here is parchment paper. And here's, you see some of it, it was a little hot, so the parchment paper got a little burned, but it's a good paper to put down on the surface because you can kind of see through it. You see that? How you can see through it, so you know what it is, where it is you're applying your heat. And I will be demonstrating that, so you're going to get to see how the heat works. And the parchment paper comes in handy. Now, another thing that if you do lots and lots and lots of image transfers, there's something called transfer paper. I'm looking to see if I can find it here. Yee! There's my sheet of transfer paper. So this is silicone paper. It's got silicone coating on this side and a silicone coating on this side. So a lot of people use the silicone paper when they're doing their image transfers. It's because your acrylic mediums won't stick to it, but they are sensitive to the heat. So do you see the heat there? I discovered that as I was doing it with the heat. Oopsies. Um, but parchment paper you can just get at the grocery store. So definitely I would suggest you try that. Now I also like to use rags as I'm doing transfers because I don't like to lose my fingerprint. Because if you're doing lots of transfers, I'm usually using my hands in order to remove that paper. And if you're doing lots of it, you can lose your fingerprint. So I have found that a little like kitchen, it's kind of rough on the surface towel. These work great. You just have to be careful with them because you don't want to pull the image back off of your surface that you just took so much time to get down onto the surface, right? So we're going to be doing it together. The acrylic mediums that I like to use are so this was the golden polymer medium. They've actually changed the name of this now. It's like a gloss acrylic medium, and then it'll say something like gloss acrylic polymer or something like that. But as long as it has the word polymer in it, this is my favorite for doing image transfers. And as a matter of fact, I fill this from this. So there's a gallon of it right there. Uh-huh. Which is great because then if you get into it and you're doing a lot of it or you're doing large pieces, then you know that you can get large quantities of it. I actually also have this one, this size right here. What size is that? 32 ounces. So I think it comes in 8 ounces, 16, 32, and a gallon, something like that. Yeah, I always have to have lots of polymer medium on hand. And then the other thing you can use is a gel medium. So this is Pebio's Studio Acrylic, but you see where it says gel gloss. So mediums come often in gloss and matte. And a lot of people like to do their transfers with a matte medium, which is fine. It'll work. It'll work. It's still an acrylic medium. It's just I prefer to work with gloss because just for me, I like the outcome better using the gloss than using the matte. Just my personal preference, but you may like that more. Um, you may like the sort of more rustic look of using a matte medium instead of using a gloss medium. So this is, for instance, one of the matte gel mediums that I have from Liquitex. And so this is a matte gel medium like that. It looks white in there, but it's going to dry clear, just like these dried. Check it out. These dried clear. You see that? So if I put my hand back behind there, see that? Amazing, amazing, amazing. Yeah. And many different companies make the gel medium. It's just I only know of the polymer medium from Golden. That's the super, super, super like crystal clear. Fabulous. Um, But there may be other companies. Like for instance, here I have Pebio's gloss medium, but you see how watery it is? It's quite watery, where the golden medium, if I do this, let's see if you can see it. It has just that little bit more, just a little bit more body to it, but not so much body like the gel medium does. So my recommendation, get the polymer medium. If you already have some gel medium on hand, then just try it with the gel medium, to get a feel for it, and then invest in the polymer medium. Right. Uh, Now, it's also going to be handy to have a piece of sandpaper because it can help to release the paper from the image if we sand the back of the image just a little bit. I don't always do that. It depends on the paper. I recommend you use like the cheapy, the cheapest paper you can find, like super thin, right? In your copier machine. You don't want like the heavy paper, you want the thin paper because you just want the image and you want the paper to release because you're going to be putting it in the trash, right? The paper part of it. Um, okay, let's see what else do I think that we're going to need. I usually will need a brush of some sort because when I'm doing the layers of the medium, then I put the brush, I like to brush that on. Um, And what I do, like when you're doing layers, like I'm sitting there and I'm doing a whole bunch of images and I'm putting layers of gel medium or polymer medium on it. Then I take a baggie like this and I get a paper towel and I get the paper towel wet so that woo, in between layers, is going to have polymer medium on it or gel medium on it. And so I just put it in between here, the paper towel, stick it in a bag like that, seal up the bag, and then I can walk away for an hour and then come back and it is ready to go. It kept it moist that whole time. Okay. So that you can do layers of the course of the day and it will keep your brush moist. And that's very important as part of this process. Okay. Let me see. Anything else? Anything else? Yes, we're going to use some packing tape. That's the first transfer we're going to do is packing tape transfer. Super easy. You can all do it. So that's the first one that we're going to do, which means I'm going to go up over top of the table. The first thing we're going to do is what's called a packing tape transfer because it's so much fun. It's quick, it's easy. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. And I'm going to show you here some images out of those Dover books. And remember I said this, you can have inkjet prints and this one are um, prints on a big copier. So that would be a toner print. So this is actually a packing tape transfer that I did already. Can you see that? That's a piece of tape off of this tape gun. And you have to use, you must use um, toner copies for this. So this has to come off of a big copier machine. It can't, it absolutely does not work with an inkjet image. Ask me how I know because I've done it many times. And then you go to take the paper off and goodbye, the image is gone, the whole thing disappears. Very disappointing. We don't want that to happen, right? So, oh, I'm wondering where my book is that this goes, but that's okay. I will have to just find that later. So these are so much fun, the little packing tape transfers. Now that it's on there, um, I put a layer of acrylic medium on the back because of course when you finish with it, it's going to be tacky on the back and I didn't want it to stick to everything. And now I can just cut this out and it can go wherever I want it on my artwork, right? And so that's a finished one. Let's make one. There we go. So I'm just gonna cut this a little bit more like this. And I think that's about all that I need to do. Oh, let's cut it here too. Okay, so you just want to have whatever image you want to do a quickie transfer with. And so this is if you want to do a quick transfer, right? You can just use packing tape. So cool. Okay, so I got my tape here. Let's put this, I just want to make sure it covers all of the images. Nice. Nice and flat. I'm burnishing it down. Okay, now what I'm actually going to have to do is use something to push it down with. So let me get the back end of a pair of scissors here. So this is called burnishing. You want to burnish the image. Normally I'll use a spoon. Let me see, this one's a little bit bigger, right? So normally I'll grab a spoon and I'll burnish this with a spoon. That means you want to get that image attached to that tape really well, right? You want the blackness of the image completely attached. Okay, abstractory, are you still here? Now that we're making our packing tape images. Okay, fun, fun, fun. All right, so just make sure that you get that really well burnished on there. And then, now I don't need this excess tape on the ends here, so I'm just gonna cut it off. Let's cut off the excess. Boop, like that. And cut off the excess here. Nice. Little excess here. Just cut that off. Okay. So now we're going to yeah, make the magic happen, which is spraying it with water now. So we're going to wet the back of it. This is nice for a quickie if you have a small image and you want to do a really fast transfer. Packing tape. Now, I don't know if the packing tape would be considered archival or not, but if you're putting it in your journal or something, it's perfect. So what I did was I got the paper wet, and now, see what I mean about losing your, you end up losing your uh, fingerprint. Okay, so the paper is going away. See what's happening here? See how the paper is tearing away and the image is being left. Wah. Yes. Thank you. These are crazy. These are so crazy cool, but it must be from a copier machine. It can't be with an inkjet. Did not work with the inkjet. So somebody on YouTube said, "Hey, where are you from? I am bringing this workshop to you from Florida. I'm in the Tampa area, between Tampa and Sarasota on the west coast of Florida, where it's very hot outside right now. So I did have to turn the air conditioner back on." So normally I'll do my first pass, and then as I'm doing here, I'll come through and I'll do a second pass, right? Because not all the paper comes off the first time. And so here we go. A little bit more. Rub, 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 scrub, rub, rub. Just like that. Lovely. Sometimes you end up with a little bit of residue, it depends on the paper, like I said. So you may even want to try different grades of paper and doing this kind of a process. Okay, you're going to freak out. This is the coolest thing ever. When I show you the end result. So let's get a paper towel here and just wipe that off. So let's get the water out of here, right? So what I'm working on top of is a piece of anodized aluminum, which I use for cutting stencils and using the heat tool on top of it so that, I don't hurt my plastic table here, right? So let's get that excess paper off. Nice. Now it's actually still sticky on the back. And you're going to see how it's sticking to my fingers? But there is an image transfer just like that. Isn't that amazing? Super duper cool. Now, there are, if this was the nice thing about these kind of transfers is they're clear. So you can actually use them either direction, either way. So if you had words or you had someone looking in one direction and you want them to look in the other direction, you can just boop, flip it. Now it's still sticky. And some people, let's say that they just want a quick transfer to put in their art journal. They'll just cut this image and then just plop it right into their art journal because the back of it is sticky from the tape. And that's really cool. Let's just take this random piece of paper right here. It's not so random. It's actually, this is what the transfer tool looks like right here that you buy. And that's what it's called, a heat transfer tool. But I will have it linked in the description of the YouTube video. So there's a little number right here that came out of the book, right? Where I just did a copy of this image from the book. So let me cut that off of there. Hey, you stay right there. The other one, I'm just moving it over, but it keeps trying to stick to my hand. Get off, get off, get off. I have to use okay, see how you can use that? It's like, okay, now it let go. But this one, I'm just cutting around it like this of the tape. And then I'm gonna put it down on the piece of paper so you can see how you can just take that quickie image and just bada bing, bada boom. There we go. So if you were working in a journal, say, and you wanted to do, you had a sheet of really cool images, like This was a sheet of all these images from that Turkish imagery book. This is another one from an Indonesian book. You see all that, like, really fun. Then you could just do a quick image transfer like this and tape it right down into your journal. It can be over top of something else, right? Because whatever it goes over top of, like this, it'll just show through. Whatever's in the back will show right through. Now this one, let's say that I want to use this one, but I want to use this one in a not just with the tape like that. I actually want to use it in a piece of artwork and I want to sell the piece of artwork. Okay, then you're going to have to make this somewhat archival. How the heck do you do that? Because that glue that's on the back of there, not archival glue. So this eventually over time will peel off, right? Because the glue will get old. So the way that you fix that, if you want to use this in a piece of artwork, is okay. I've flipped it over to the back. Actually, I'm going to put it on top of, hold on, where are they? Ah, there we go. So I save the circulars that come in the mail, like this one, right? Just stuff like this that comes in the mail. So I save them and then I use them whenever I'm doing this kind of work because I'm going to put the image down there. The sticky side is up. And I want to stop that side from being sticky. I want to use here I'm going to need a needle tool again to hold it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of medium on it, right? I can either use the polymer medium or I can use the gel medium. Either one will work. So whatever you have, just clear acrylic is the idea. So here, yes, you can put it on a brush, but we're just doing it quickie right now. So I'm just going to, it goes on white and it dries clear and it's archival. Yes. Here, see, it's still sticking to my hand. So what we want to do is we want to get the sticky off of there, especially if you want to use it flipped the other way. You're going to need to get rid of the stickiness and then that way you can use it on either side. There we go. Like that. So now I've got a clear gel on there. I just leave it to dry. And when it dries, then I will have one like this that I showed you earlier, where the medium is on the back and you see how the medium dried crystal clear. And so now I can use that this way or this way, either way. And what am I going to do to put it into my artwork? So let's just take this. I like this swirl right here. So now I can just cut out this swirl like this. I'm actually going to put it in a piece of artwork. Because I want to cut off the number that was there, right? Because it came out of the book and the book had the numbers next to it. So I'm going to show you like this one right here. If you look here, you see how there are numbers next to each one of these images. So I wanted to cut that number off of this item. Okay. And now where did it go? It was in here when I went to pick that up. There it is. See, it's so clear I couldn't see it. Holy kashmoli. Okay, here we go. Like it is. I'm cutting it a little bit closer. Okay, so now I've got it cut out and I can use that in either direction, right? I can glue it down this way or glue it down this way. And if you're just doing a junk journal or something, just use a glue stick. You can put it down. Now, if you're going to try to glue it on the shiny side right here of the tape, and you're putting it in a junk journal and you want to put it on the shiny side down, then you're going to have to use a little bit of sandpaper. Let me see, where's a nice, and you're going to have to just roughen up the side that's shiny. You know, the tape side that's shiny, the top of the tape. You need to just rough it just a little bit. And that way there are little lines in it, which you can't really see. It still looks clear. And when you put the glue in or you use the gel medium to put it in, it's going to fill in those little lines anyway. So no fuss, no muss. Let me get the book that we're going to put that in. Ta-da! Right? This is the one we were working on last week with last week's collage workshop. So the nice thing about having your artwork like this as a transfer item is you can move it around your artwork and audition it and decide where you want it to go before you actually put it down, right? So I'm auditioning it. I'm looking here, I'm looking there. I think I want to put it right there, right? Or move it up just a little bit. No, that's right there. Okay, so then you decide where you want it to go in your artwork. Let's move the tape out of the way. Isn't that cool? That is like one of my most just fun, quickie transfer methods is you just use this tape. It's fantastic. If you have small items that you want to transfer, let me move it out of the way. Okay, so now we've got it here and we want to put it down into the book. And the cool thing is, see if I put it over top of the flower, you can still see the flower through it, right? I just see the lines. So I love these books that have the line images like this because anywhere that it's white on there is going to show up clear when you do your transfer. Awesome, right? So let's do this right here. I'm just going to put some of the gel medium on there because yes, I use when I do acrylic paint collages like this, I use gel medium for a little bit thicker, and then I use Bindex, both from Pebeo, for a little bit thinner medium if that's what I need. Okay, so I'm going to actually do this with a palette knife because I want to spread that around where I'm going to put this. I could either do it like that or I could put it directly on here. It doesn't matter which way I do it, on top or on the bottom. Either way, there we go. And I'm putting some more of the gel medium across the top. So I'm fully incorporating it into my artwork. Wow, cool. There you go. So now that was just a packing taper transfer. Took a few minutes and now it is down in my artwork. Lickety split, just like that. Isn't that awesome? But it has to be toner copiers, not from your inkjet printer, okay? So let me just cut this. I have another one ready to go right there. Yay! Okay, that's going off to the side. All right, that's my favorite quickie. Let's move some of these images out of the way. Let's move that back out of the way. Okay, so the next method is heat. Heat. Oh, where did I just put that other? I'm going to use that other thing. So when you're using heat, you can, now I'm going to turn this on. This is my transfer tool. I'm going to turn it on. Now I have an old transfer tool. So I only have an on off and it gets super hot, too hot, as a matter of fact. The new ones, like the picture that I just showed you a second ago, which I put somewhere, uh, which is that funny? I'm like in this tiny little studio, but away it went. And now I don't know where it is. Where did that image go? Okay, well, the image I showed you a minute ago. Yes, here it is. The photo transfer tool. This has a rheostat. You see right there? That's a rheostat, so you can adjust the temperature. Do you think an embossing heat tool would work? No, abstractory. And thank you for the question. The reason being that you need to apply heat directly onto your image to be transferred and your surface. Okay, that's how it's done. And I need to get myself one of the new ones that has the rheostat because you want to use a low heat. Okay, you don't want to use a high heat. Now, another really cool, if you're doing larger surfaces like larger transfers, then you're going to want to use a device that has a bigger head on it. And you can use an iron, no steam, just heat, okay, from an iron. But there's also something super cool that I have in storage. It hasn't materialized from me moving yet, but it's called a quilting iron. So I don't know if y'all have ever heard of that before or not. I'll link one in the description of the video on YouTube tomorrow, but it is a quilting iron, has a head about this size. So you see how this has a small head right here? That's for doing smaller areas. A quilting iron is about this size and it has the shape of an iron where it comes like this and then is flat. So it has a tip. It's for getting into the corners when you're doing quilting and they work terrific. and they come with a rheostat as well. So that's what I normally use, but it just hasn't surfaced yet from my move. I don't know where it is. Now, there are two types of images that you can transfer onto. This happens to be watercolor paper. And notice I put, see how it's shiny? So I have two coats of gel medium. This is a Pebeo gel medium, but it could have been the Liquitex gel medium, any gel medium. And I put two coats. So I did one coat going in one direction and the other coat going in the other direction. So there are two coats of gel medium on this side, and there are two coats of polymer medium, this stuff from Golden, on this side. Now, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but this side is much shinier and it's actually a lot more smooth. So it's almost like it self levels, okay? Not completely, but kind of. Okay, did I just turn that on? No, okay. Actually my transfer tool came out of a kit that had a bunch of other transfer tools in it. I mean, wood burning tools, sorry. And so what you're gonna see here is there is a stand for it, a metal stand. What I have beside me right now is a wood stand. That's not a good idea since it's a wood burner, right? So let me take this metal stand like this, and then that sits in there like that, and so that I can turn it on. And I'm using a metal, I just have it off to the side. I have a metal stand. Now it's going to get too hot, but then I'm going to have to let it cool down. And I'll show you how I do that. Now this is a wood burning tip as well, but it has a nice little shape to it, and it can also be used for transferring. Okay. So you're just looking for a warm, flat surface that you can use to transfer with. So let me put this back away. That kit, like I said, that was a wood burning kit, but I also got a transfer tip for it. And it gets really hot, okay? So yeah. All right. Let me get another image here. So here is, let's take one of these. Oh, this is a cute little face, right? So let's cut that one out. Yeah, and we're going to transfer it onto here just with heat, just heat. Now, I don't want that number. See the little number that's underneath there? I don't want the number. So you can, and this, when you're using a heat transfer, I recommend that you like cut it close to your image, okay? Doot, like that. Because you want less paper that you have to take off of there. Now, what's going to happen here? I'm going to take it, and when I put it down, it's going to go mirror image in the opposite direction, right? It's going to go that way instead of that way like it was in the picture, because we're doing a direct to the surface transfer. And so that is going to give us the mirror image of what we see. So that is a copier. That was made, an image made on a copier machine. Okay, so that's pretty warm now. Yep, nice and hot. So I'm going to turn it off. And what I do is, this is the parchment paper, right? That's watercolor paper with the medium on it. Abstractory was asking, yes, this is, let me show you. This happens to be the Canson XL watercolor paper, 140 pound. Okay. You can do it on mixed media papers as well. It's just any paper that will take these mediums, these acrylic mediums on them. Okay. All right. So here's our little image. Oh, it's so cute. It's so cute. And so I don't have anything on this image at all, just the image, just the laser image. That's it. Okay. So I'm putting it down on the polymer medium. It works both on the polymer medium and the gel medium. I'm going to show you that in a minute. But I'm talking because I'm waiting for this to get like a little bit cooler, because you see the burn marks that are on here. You try not to have it get burn marks. So now putting the parchment paper down, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it right on top of the image. Perfect. It's not giving me any burn marks. That's good. So you just move back and forth and in little circles. Only works with your big copier images, the toner images. The toner is heat sensitive, so that's why. So you can apply heat to it. Now I don't have to just do it on layers um, of acrylic medium. I could do it. A lot of people do direct to wood image transfers, but I just find you get a better transfer if you put a coat of either gel medium, polymer medium, one or two coats. So you have to try it. Okay. Okay. So that was with heat. Ta-da. Now see a little bit of that was sticking to there, which is fine. Fine. That's perfect. That's what we want. Now this is stuck on there. It's not it's not coming off. Okay. Isn't that amazing? Just a little bit of heat. What? Amazing. Amazing. Okay. So now what we're gonna do another one before we take that one off. Okay. And that is sometimes you want to take your image where okay, now where did it go? Here it is. So here's an image out of one of those books. And I have, I think, 3 coats of polymer medium, 2 or 3 coats of polymer medium here. All right. And so I could turn it into an image transfer just by taking it to the sink and taking the paper off the back. And then it would be a clear one, like I showed you before, like these, right? But I'm going to take it and I'm going to just heat transfer it onto here. So it's like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, whether you put some medium on it or not. Remember, you're testing out your different papers. This is just regular old copier paper from the copier company, from Staples or Home Depot. So again, you want to cut it close to the image like this. Lovely. Just don't want to have too much paper, right? That you have to take off. Okay, cool. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And so sometimes, it just depends on what surfaces you're working on. You need to do little tests, all right, with the materials that you have in order to know whether you're going to get a better transfer with a direct to heat with no medium on your image, or whether you need to, if it doesn't give you a really clean image and you want a cleaner image, then you can do this. And that's just taking same thing out of a book like that and just put 2 coats of your medium on it. Hey, Barbara Florentine, welcome in, welcome in. We're doing image transfers today. So here you go. That has the medium on it, the polymer medium. So we're going to put it on the polymer medium side. It works exactly the same with gel medium, okay? And I'm going to show you that in just a minute. We're going to remove some paper. Thank you, Abstractory. Thank you. So this might not be hot enough now because I've been yammering. So I'm going to turn it back on. Aw, Barbara, that's awesome. Barbara Florentine ordered a little kit of professional watercolors from me. So I'm going to show you. I have these little tins, and then I have the little half pans, and I filled some half pans, made a custom palette for her. And yay! I'm so happy to hear, Barbara, that you got them and you adore them. Woohoo! I love that. That is fantastic. You can find these if you're on Whatnot. You just go into my store and you go to the buy now and you type in the word supplies, and um, you should find them. The little watercolor sets that I can custom make for you. Okay. All right. Yes. Thank you, Barbara. Fantastic quality. Well, those are professional grade. I have a big bin of, I have tons of professional. Oh, how many tubes do I have? Oh my gosh. I probably have like 500 tubes. So maybe not quite 500, but I have a lot of tubes. A lot of tubes. Oh my gosh. Of watercolor paint. I just didn't have the turquoise that Barbara was looking for, but I gave her an alternative blue that could mix with other paints on her palette and she could get turquoise. Yay. Okay. So we're just waiting. I'm yammering so that this can heat get hot enough, right? Oh, look at that. We have somebody over on YouTube who says, "Hello, I'm friends from Beijing, Asia." Yes, Beijing is in China, 中国。我会说一点中国话。你好吗？So told them that I speak a little bit of Chinese and hello, how are you? Welcome in, welcome in. Okay, so again, this is what? Um, parchment paper. And I need to turn this off now because I don't want it to be too hot. This, Barbara, this is a transfer tool. And the new transfer tools have a rheostat, not just an on off. And so mine gets a little too hot because it's also made for wood burning. And this is called a transfer tip. So now you can buy, oh, thank you, Barbara. Barbara said, amazing on every count. So now you can buy just a photo transfer tool with this flat tip, and it has a rheostat. So you can adjust the temperature and get it just right. But here I heat it up and then I talk for a minute. But you can see here, sometimes I burn the parchment, but that's okay. That's what parchment is good for that. So I'm just taking the flat top and I'm going all around my image now with the heat. And so the gel medium will attach itself to that gel medium background. It's amazing. So I love using the heat method. You're going to find that I love the heat method because it's quicker than the sandwich method. Because I could make a sandwich, meaning that I could take a layer of polymer medium wet like this, and I could put the polymer medium on top on the other side of the paper. So there would be polymer medium on this side, wet, and polymer medium here dry. And then I could put it down and roll over it and make a sandwich and let it dry and then do the transfer. But isn't this quicker? Oh my gosh, y'all. The heat transfer method is way, way quicker. Thank you to Thomas Campbell, who's a famous collage artist whose book I purchased and who explains heat transfer. He's the one who I learned about the quilting iron because he does huge images, large images that you can go to a print shop and have a big toner image done for you. Actually, my friend Tatiana, who's also a mixed media artist, she'll go to like an Office Depot and she'll have an image that she split into two pieces. And then she'll have them done like 11 by 14 or 11 by 17 size at a print shop like a home Office Depot. And then uh, so that she can get really large images that she transfers onto her canvases. As long as the canvas has some acrylic medium or acrylic paint, this would work right over top of acrylic paint as well, if you already have acrylic paint down. So let's say I had, instead of being like this, just white in the background, I could have a layer of acrylic paint. Now I like to put a layer of medium over top of the paint, which is what I did here. So this was painted pink, this canvas board, and then I put a layer medium over it and did this same process on there. So you see how I'm just using heat and I'm making sure that I get that completely put on there. Now I can feel there's a bubble right here, so I didn't quite get a full transfer. And I think that's because when you're putting down larger images, you kind of have to work from the middle out in order to avoid bubbles. And I didn't do that because I thought this one would be small enough. Oh, well, but it doesn't matter. Here we go. Eat water. Now all of a sudden the image shows up, right? Isn't that, it's a miracle. Okay, so I'm gonna take a rough kitchen towel so that I can preserve my my fingerprints. And then I'm just gonna roll off the paper. There you go. Now remember, this is what? Abstractory knows. What kind of image is this? It's a toner copier image. You can do this exact same process, but using an inkjet image. It's just what happens with the inkjet image is that the image does not come out perfectly like a toner does. Um, it'll come out lighter, meaning the black lines won't be quite so dark. And it'll also come out potentially with breaks in the lines. So do you see that was just heat, right? Toner copy, heat. No gel medium on it at all, which is fabulous. Fabulous. That's why I love this method. If you have a layer of polymer medium or gel medium, you just stick your toner copy down on there. If it's black and white, if it's color, it's a little more tricky. It doesn't always work well with color, but if you just have black and white like this, yeah, it works really well. You see how I just now if I had any other color or any other image underneath that, I would essentially just be layering. I'm just throwing it in the trash bin. I would be layering my imagery one over top of the other. And that's the beauty, I think, of image transfers like this. Oh my gosh, is the way you can layer them over top of your artwork or your art journal. And was that hard? That was not hard. It was so dang simple. I'm just getting rid of the little pieces of paper. Usually when I do when I take the paper off, I will let it dry and then I'll wet it again because there are little paper fibers still on there. And then I'll do it again. I'm doing it on the polymer side because I prefer the polymer, but like I said, it does work with the gel medium side. So I'm going to show you some that I did, like this one right here. Oh, no, first I'm going to show you this one. So this is that paper that I told you about. That is the smooth. So if you're starting out, you're going to have your best results on a smooth paper instead of a textured paper. But if you have textured paper, use it. You saw this was textured paper, the one I was just working on, this one. This is the cold press textured paper and it still worked, right? I got my image. Now this one, I can see I need to do at least one more, you know, off. There's still fuzz on there. So I'll have to do that a second time. But that had gel medium on the image. This one was just the image and all the paper came right off. It's awesome. Okay, so here again, let me see what you see. You're going to see this side right here the best. So this is again polymer medium. So see, this is one of my test kind of sheets, right? Like I showed you in the beginning. So here, 2 coats of polymer medium, I put on the image and then I put it down and I did a heat transfer. This one, I just did the heat transfer. Now notice, you see how the number is backwards? I forgot to cut the number off. I forgot to cut that darn number off. And then I did the heat transfer with just heat. Now what happens sometimes is when you use just heat, um, it doesn't always come out perfectly. So a little tiny bit of black came off there and a little tiny bit of black came off there. So it's not as crisp and perfect as if you use the polymer medium on the image and on the background. Okay. But the just heat is quick. It's quick. It's fabulous. So those are ones that I put down and then I already took, but I write copious notes as you saw earlier in my big book. Um, this is a sandwich. So what that is a color image. So I think it's a color image of this, but it's something like this. Okay. And I have polymer medium on the paper and I also put polymer medium on the image. Let the polymer medium dry, 2 coats on the image. And then I put polymer medium on the image and then put the image down and rolled it out. Usually what I'll do is I'll take a paper towel like this and I'll just push it like this and make sure that it has perfect contact, right? And I leave it overnight to dry or leave it a couple of hours. You don't want to do the removal until it's like completely dry because if you start removing the paper and you're getting it wet before that sandwich is completely dry, of course you could lose some of your image, right? So let's go ahead and get this wet. Ah, it's the head of that Buddha. All right, hold on. Let me hold it up like this so I can get the water on it. You can do it. Come on, water. Ah, there we go. So now I'm soaking it. Usually I do this by the sink because it gets messy, right? Okay, where's my cloth? Here's my cloth so I don't have to lose my um, fingerprint. Okay, there we go. So I'm rolling the paper off. Make sure in your sink, like when I do this, when I'm doing the ones like this that are loose in the sink, I make sure that I stopper up the sink, or I have my sinks have a little grate in them to catch all this paper. You do not want this paper pulp going down your pipes. Okay, don't do it. Isn't that fun though, how the image gets revealed like that? So I'm trying not to go too hard. I don't want to be too hard on the image, because if you really are pushing too hard, you can lose some of the image. Actually, I already lost part of the image here and part of the image here because it is not an exact science. Okay. Image transfers like this are not an exact science. And, you know, that's one of the beauties of it, I think, is that you get kind of an organic look out of it, or you can get an organic look. You may get an incomplete um, transfer, and that's okay. It's all good. You have to learn to let it go. Let me get rid of this paper in my trash bin here. So that was the first layer. So let me show you. There's the first layer. Now you see there are still lots of bits of paper. So if I just keep doing this, you see how more paper is coming off. So sometimes I'll do it 2 or 3 times. I let it get most of the way dry, and then I'll come back and put some more water on it. And I'm generally doing the final layers with my fingers like this. Now notice everything else is getting wet in your, in the area as well. So bear that in mind. I wouldn't do this on or near a watercolor, because I could get a whole bunch of water all over the place and it would potentially mess up the artwork around it. But if I'm working on top of an acrylic, like my acrylic collages, like I showed you earlier, then there's nothing to worry about. The acrylic collage, the acrylic paint seals the surface. So, okay, so that's round 2, where we got a whole bunch of that off of there. I'm gonna let it dry again. And what, isn't that cool? Isn't that fun, y'all? Oh, I love it. Hold on. Let's get that extra paper off of there. Okay. So once I've done, that's only two rounds of removing paper from it, right? So if I sit there with my finger and I do a little bit more, I'm getting more little fluffy bits of paper off. Okay. So let's just get that little bit more off. You don't want to overdo it, because you don't want to pull the image off that you just transferred. Now, this image was a photograph that I took, plus it was I went to a big copier, right? I went to a copy shop and I did it on a big copier. It would not come out this bold if I did it on an inkjet printer. I could print that on an inkjet printer. It just would not be so clear. You see how crisp and clear that is? Now, when I'm finished with it, what I do is I take a layer of medium. So if I put it on with gel medium, I would put a layer of gel medium. In this case, I used polymer medium. So now I'm actually going to use a brush. Where's one of my brushes? Here we go. So now I'm going to use a brush. I'm going to get a little bit of that polymer medium, and I'm just going to go right over top of it to seal it. What that does, if you put a layer of medium, whether it's the gel medium I showed you earlier, or the polymer medium over top of your piece, what that does is it locks in those little bitty hairs, because no matter what, you're going to end up with a little bit of paper fiber left on there. And that creates like a little fuzz. There we go. So now that I've put a layer of polymer medium over it, and that makes it look wet, and that helps to get rid of the fuzz. What? Yes, I just got rid of the fuzz. Now what am I going to do with this? I'm going to take that. I'm going to put it inside this bag. Oh, where's the other bag? Come on now. There's the other bag. This was with the other brush I was showing you earlier. Okay, so I'm when I'm doing transfers and working like this, I always have to wait, right, in between layers. So this is just a plastic bag, and this is a wet paper towel. So to keep this moist, I just put it inside the wet paper towel like that. Put it in the bag. Come on, bag, you can do it. And then I close up the bag. Wait, and now I wrote on mine polymer to remind me that this is the bag with polymer medium in it, because I was also doing tests with the gel medium. So this is the side with the gel medium. Ah, can you see that? There we go. Over here. Yes, now you can see the side with the gel medium. So the gel medium was the Pebeo gel medium here. So this is very common, very easy to find gel medium, which is just an acrylic medium, acrylic paint with no color in it. Okay. This golden color medium is not as easy to find. You can find it online. Okay, so Abstractory said, will that image peel off the watercolor paper? That was the question here. Nope. That image is now sealed onto the watercolor paper. The only way to get it off would be to cut it out, and then you would have watercolor paper on the back. Okay. So that I usually do this process on top of my artworks. So for instance, this page right here, wherever I want to do my image transfer, I would make sure that I have a coat of medium on there, and I can use gel gloss. I can use the matte gel. I can use the polymer medium. Any of these will work. Okay. It just, like I said, you have to test the different ones to see the quality of the outcome. So I would put this painting is mostly matte. So I would probably put some matte medium in the area where I wanted the image transfer to go. And then I would transfer that onto the area where I want it on my journal page or my artwork. And this would actually have whatever's underneath here showing through, right? Because that's the cool thing about an image transfer is it's actually semi-transparent. And so you would be able to see what's underneath here, which looks so cool. Love that. Okay, so this side is the gel medium. And I did exactly the same thing. And this one is the one with just heat. And this one is the one where I put gel medium on the piece first. And then I used heat on it. So the little piece was already dry. And I just turned it over and used the heat. All right, so it works on the gel medium. It just is a little, hey, flower gazer, welcome in. It's just a little bit, a little less predictable, a little more organic looking. I mean, it doesn't completely come on when you're using the gel medium. That's stuff like this. So you have to be okay with little things that aren't right. Anytime you do transfers, you kind of have to be okay with things not being perfect, because that's the whole idea. It's cool to put your image over top of something else, right? So here, this is a photograph that I took of a chrysanthemum flower. And I just started them last night because I wanted to be sure that they would be ready to go today. It's a little easier if you already have a corner off. So now that the paper is wet, I'm just using my kitchen cloth that has a little bit of texture to it. and I'm pulling the water. So this is the gel medium. This is a sandwich. I had the image printed on copier paper with a big copier. And then I put 2 coats of gel medium over top of it. And then this background has 2 coats of gel medium on it. And then when this one was dry, I put a fresh coat of gel medium on it and made a sandwich on top of there and pushed it down. You can also roll it with a brayer if you want to be sure that you're getting a good connection there. You want to get a good connection. So here we go. There it is. Hello, chrysanthemum. And of course, if I had anything in the background, you'd be able to see some of the background through it, right? It's so fun. Okay. And you can decide how much paper to take off. You may want to leave a little bit of a sort of a cloudy look because the white paper fibers will leave a little bit of a cloudy look there. As a matter of fact, I have one here. This is a skin that I made with the gel medium in the same image. And if you look closely, you can see like little clouds of paper there on it. So let's get rid of the paper, that paper pulp. If you weren't here earlier, do not put the paper pulp down the drain, okay? You want to make sure you catch it somehow um, because it will definitely gunk up your pipes and you do not want that. Okay, lovely, 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 lovely. Aren't they fun? Oh my gosh, I just love transfers. This one transferred really well. And that was using this gel medium, the gloss gel medium. Okay, fabulous, fabulous. Nice, I like it. I like it. Okay, so that is doing the transfers with heat and the sandwich where you're taking your image and you're putting the, I'm going to show you. I have some here. Oops. So here are, like this is one right here that I took out of that women book that I showed you earlier. And I put 3 layers of polymer medium on it. So I could take this now, and if I were using heat, I could apply it with heat onto a surface that already has gel medium on it, or I could put another layer of medium on here and then sandwich it and make sure that it has good contact and leave it to dry and then transfer it. Okay. So you just need to decide what you're more comfortable with. And after testing it, like I do all my tests, then you'll see how comfortable you are with that. Now, let me show you this one where I had color in the background. So I did the same process as I did here, but I have color in the background instead. So you can see the color through it. Okay, let's put that there. So this one, what I have here, you see my notes. So this is polymer medium. This is a toner copy with just heat. A toner copy that I put 2 coats of polymer medium on and then heat. And the same thing over here, just heat. And these are toner copies as well. And then this is gel medium that I used instead of using polymer medium, both acrylic mediums. Here I have a photograph that I took of a pomegranate, and I made a sandwich, which means I put a wet coat of the medium, applied them, but I wanted you to see what it looks like when you have color in the background instead. So let's get these wet. Oh, my table's getting all wet in it. Come on. There we go. So I'm going to use this thing right here. And I'm going to take the paper off. Lovely. So right now I'm working on the polymer medium side. Okay, you guys are going to get totally hooked on doing image transfers after seeing this because it is just so fun. Hey, S. Diedrich, welcome in, welcome in. We're doing image transfers. And I'm using the heat method and the sandwich method here. So now I've gotten the paper wet after doing the transfer. These two up here were done with the heat method. And now I got the backs wet and I'm using a kitchen rag to take off the paper. All right, let me get rid of some of that paper residue. So there is, this had 2 coats of polymer on it and I used heat. This one was just the image and then I used heat. Isn't that heat method fun? Oh my gosh, it's like the best. So let me get this a little more wet so I can take a little bit more of that off of there. More paper. I usually do have to do it several times to get all the little bits of paper off of there. Okay, let's move this up a little bit so that I can get the pomegranate image. Let's see how it did, how well it came out. Get it nice and wet there. Okay, oh, it's coming out. Such a good image. Now, if you weren't here earlier, these images are all done on a toner or one of those big copiers, like you have to go to a home Office Depot or a Kinko's or something like that. Okay. Heat, what kind of heat? S. Diedrich is asking. I was using a, you can use an at-home iron. I was using what's called a heat transfer tool. So do you see the flat top right here? And then it has the new ones have a rheostat. Mine just has an on off, but you want to use the rheostat to adjust the heat. And then I took the toner copy and I put it down on top of here, toner, meaning it came from a big machine. I put it on top of where I already put 2 coats of medium, they're acrylic mediums. And then I used, this is parchment paper. So I put parchment paper over the image and then I used heat like this to apply it. Or you can use a regular iron, but with a regular iron, you have to have it in, no steam, right? No steam. All right, I hope that answered your question. All right, let's get some more of this off of there. Nice. So that came off pretty well. And so you can still see that it's a pomegranate, but the area in the background here that was a light gray is now a gray pink because of course there's something behind it. So it's partly transparent. That's the beauty of doing these transfers. Okay. Nice. Okay, good. I'm glad you got it. Fabulous. So you are going to have those little bitty bits of paper left, but that's why you put another coat of medium over top of it to kind of capture those little bits of paper. Okay, nice. What? Yeah, there you go. And that has the pink in the background. So you see how the background here is a little more pink because what's underneath it is showing through. Now this was the gel medium and we did the same thing with the gel medium. So this was toner copy, just heat on 2 coats of gel medium. And this is just what gel medium looks like. It could come in a tub like this. And you can use either gloss or matte, whatever you have on hand. And then wet the paper, but this is toner copy, wet the paper. And this is the one that I just applied heat. I did not do, I didn't put any medium on it. And what I'm noticing is that it's not a perfect transfer, which is okay with me. I just like things that are transferred where you can see through them. But right here, there's a little bit of the black came up, but that's okay. That transfers are imperfect. That's the whole idea. Be okay with it not being perfect. Now this is where I put gel medium on the paper first, let it dry, and on the base. So there's gel medium there's two layers of gel medium on the paper, and then 2 layers of gel medium on the surface, and then I used heat. So this one is coming out more perfect because that toner um, ink is captured in the layer of gel medium that I put directly on top of the paper. Okay, so that one's come out more perfect looking. There we go. So you see those two, just heat. This one had gel medium on the bottom of the paper and on the background. And then I used heat. Fabulous. Okay, so let's see how this gel medium transfer is going to come out. Again, you see why I like to use a cloth instead of my finger all the time. If it's a little transfer and I'm just throwing it down and then heading, continuing to do something else, I'll just use my finger to get the paper off. But if I have a lot of paper to take off, I definitely use a kitchen rag that has a rough surface to it. There we go. Nice. Oh my gosh. I'm going to show you the other one that's drying in just a second because you can start to see the fuzz really appear. Nice. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You see the pink in the background there? Fabulous. There you go. So now you've got some pink in the background where the image, if the image just has white, that white is going to, that means there's no ink that's deposited there. It's letting the white of the paper show through. And so you're going to see more of the background when you have areas on your image that are white when they're on the copier paper. Okay, I'm going to show you the other one real quick like. So do you see that fuzz? You see the white fuzz there? That's that extra paper fuzz that I was saying. You're going to have to hit it with more water again. There's more paper dust, as it were, on there. A little bit of fuzz. And so here I'm just going over it again. So usually I'll do this 3 times to get all, I remove whatever I can, then I let it dry. I see where the fuzz is, and then I do it again. And I'll usually do that 3 times and then put the medium on it. So can you see the little bits there? Oh my gosh, lots of little bits. Lots of little bits. And that was the second time. Now, as this one's drying, you can start to see some of the paper debris there too. But once I've done it 2 or 3 times, so I've got the chunks of paper debris off of there, then I'll just go over it with my medium. So there are no more chunks on there. So I'm like, okay, there are no more chunks. Let's go ahead and put some polymer medium over it. Even though normally I would do it one more time, but it's okay. That's when I'm like being really crazy. Okay, where's my brush? Here's my brush. Remember, I did this with my brush. So the top of the brush is still nice and wet. I don't dunk it into the water and leave it in the water because then there's a lot of water on the brush when I go to pick up my medium. I like to just put it in the damp paper towel, and that I find that works better. So this is the golden polymer medium, and the polymer medium will capture all of that little fluff, that paper fluff, and make the image more, even more transparent or translucent. Okay, cool. So normally I'll put 2 coats of the polymer medium on there. And here I would put 2 coats of the gel medium, right? So that sort of captures that little bit of paper fluff that's left in there. And I can do the same here too. I usually will put a layer over top. Now there's a lot of paper fluff right there because this is the one that had medium on the paper and medium on here when I use the heat method. So I'm going to go ahead. Hey, where do I put this? Where did I put my wooden brush rest? Come on. Okay, I don't know where I put it right at the moment, so I'm just going to stick this back inside the bag for a sec. So before I put any medium on that, I just want to use a tiny bit more water, right? And get that next layer off of there. There we go. Because I don't want to have too much fuzz showing. A little bit of fuzz is okay, but too much fuzz leaves like funky white marks on it. I don't want that. There we go. And I'm scrubbing this pretty hard, and none of that toner ink is coming off. Well, tiny bit came off. See the sort of gray on there? Just a tiny bit came off, but it's in pretty good shape. Oh my goodness, there are little bits of paper everywhere here. Ah, I don't want it to get stuck in the medium, do I? Don't do it. Okay, so let's put a little bit more of the medium on here. Whenever I do collage or I'm doing image transfers, I always put 2 coats back over top of it after the transfer is done to protect that surface. Eek, little paper. No, get the paper bits off. Okay, there we go. Right? Fabulous. Ah, so nice, so nice. Okay, so now let's make something. What? Yeah. Well, oh no, we're not quite done yet. Not quite done. One more thing to show you before we actually create a piece with some transfers that I did. Okay. Hey, there we go. We're just going to set that aside right now. Now that is transferring onto a surface like this, right? Where we put it down onto the surface. Now I can also make skins, right? And I showed you a skin of a photograph of mine from before, like this. So that was a photograph of mine and I made a skin. So to make the skin, you're just putting more coats onto your surface. This is a toner copy. You can do it with your inkjet copies. It just won't come out as crisply as this one does. Okay. Um, I put 4 coats of medium on the front. Can you see the brush marks there? 4 coats. And then I took it to the sink and I rolled the paper off the back with a mesh in the sink to capture the paper fluff. And then after I was done rolling off all the paper on the back, so it created an acrylic skin, then I did it 3 times, right? Taking the little paper fluff off. And then I added 2 more coats of medium on the back. So now this can be used this direction or this direction. Either way, that's what I like about making skins like this. Now that's with a color photograph that I have. This was a lotus sketch that I made, right? So I did a sketch and then I took it to a big copier machine and had it copied on a big copier machine. And now I made a skin. So I did that same thing and I have this sketch. And I'm going to show you how I paint on the back of the sketch. So this has medium on the front and medium on the back. Oh, let's do one of these first before I paint that so you can see what I'm talking about. So here's one right here that I put lots of coats on. Okay, lots of coats of medium on the front. So there's at least 4 coats of medium on the front. Again, you can use either polymer medium, which is my favorite, or you can use any acrylic gel medium that you have. You want to use a gel because you want it to be thick enough, okay, to work with. So now this has 4 coats. In this case, it's polymer medium. And I'm going to turn it over. So normally I would have this in my sink, right? So I can get it wet and keep it wet. Ah, come on, water. You can do it. There we go. So now I'm going to do the same thing there. I just get it started. And then I go here. Thanks for the kisses over on YouTube. Appreciate it. So now I am rolling off the paper again. Lots of paper rolling. There we go. So using the cloth, I change position periodically because the cloth gets covered in the paper pulp. Isn't this fun though? And this is just a piece of anodized aluminum. You could do it on a piece of glass. I like to do it on my cutting board because if the bottom side is wet, so if you get the bottom side wet as well of what you're working on, the side that has the gel medium on it, um, then it'll stick to either your cutting board, your wood cutting board, or your glass, your piece of glass, or in this case, the anodized. Oops, there you go. Let's roll that all off of there. Nice. So that's, of course, round one. Isn't that fun? There goes the paper. So I've got all the paper pulp here. Lots of paper pulp. See there. That's why you want to use thin paper. You go to the copy shop and you say, hey, can you give me like the worst paper that you have, the thinnest paper that you have? It just makes your life easier when you go to remove the paper. Okay, so I just put that in the sink or in the my trash bin here. Okay, so let me lift it up so you can see what we have. Eee! So that is called a skin. That's an acrylic skin. Hey, Abstractory, thank you so much for your tip. That is just lovely. I appreciate you. So there is a skin. That's called an acrylic skin. And there's still, can you kind of see how it's still a little bit white there on the back? That's because the paper fluff, and you can't see like my fingers perfectly through it, can you? That's because that's round one of removing the paper. Let's where's my little sprayer? Let's spray this so it'll kind of stick better to there. There we go. And so you let it dry just a little bit. Like you can even use, I have another cloth here so that I can sort of dry it a little bit. And that makes it ready for round two faster if it's dry. You could even hit it with a heat gun a little bit if you wanted to, just to dry it. But there we go, a little more water. Round two. There we go. So now it's a little more delicate, right? Because it doesn't have the paper in the background. So I'm actually using a lighter touch. And that's why I went to my fingers instead of using the cloth. And I'm going from the center out because I don't want it to fold up on itself. But you're going to see in just a second here, a lot more paper is coming off. So you see why I do this multiple times. Yeah, lots and lots of bits here. And I'm liquefying the paper pulp. So there we go. Yee! So can you see that paper pulp there? Yikes. More, more paper pulp. So let me take that off of there. And then I would let it dry. And then I would do it again to get more bits of paper pulp off because I'm anal that way and I want to get like the maximum paper pulp off of there that I can. And that's another reason why I like using this polymer medium is because it's like crystal clear. The other ones are clear too, but it is just the best, the best. Okay, so I'm going to show you a piece. Where is it? Where is it? Where did I put them? I have so many bits all over the place here. Let me see if they're in here. I'm looking, I'm looking. Are they over here? Okay, let's see if I put them here. No. See, these are more that I've created that I put a bunch of layers on like that. Now this is, I put, see where I put PM on it, 2 coats? I make notes for myself. So I leave a little bit of extra paper if I can. And that way I can write notes and I know where I am in the process of what it is that I'm trying to do. Okay, so there's something else that I'm looking for. Yes, here it is. Oh, I discovered it. Awesome. So I'm going to show you, this is a transfer that I'm in the middle of. And you see how it looks a little bit cloudy. So it's polymer medium. You can see the polymer medium shine on the top where I put it on the top of the paper, but look at the back. You see how it looks sort of translucent, right? You see that? That's because I've only done 2 layers of removing the paper. This one, however, which was from the same piece, you see how clear that is? So I did the removal 4 times, the paper removal 4 times to get all the little bits off of it. And then once I had taken all the bits off that I wanted, I put 2 coats of the polymer medium, in this case, on the back. So you see how clear that is? There's only a tiny bit of cloudiness, just a tiny bit. For the most part, it's pretty clear. Let me see if I have something I can put it on top of so that you can see. So if I put that on there, it's pretty clear, right? Pretty clear. Now I wouldn't put it on something like this because there's too much going on behind it and you can't really see the characters. Let me see if I have another page in here that's a little less, well, right on here. This is a Chinese sort of character. So if I put it on here, can you see the characters in there now? They're subtle because it's a transfer, but you can kind of see the characters and how it would go down there. Yeah, cool, right? Now, how would I apply this? I would just put polymer medium. I could either put the polymer medium just directly on here and then position it, or I could put polymer medium on here and then position it like that. Either way, okay? But that's one that's like ready to go on to something, to accent something. This one, I still have more work to do to remove the paper from the back, which I can tell just by looking at it, right? I know, I know. Okay. So this one, we've done 2 coats. Oh my gosh, if you could feel this, it's like a big fuzz ball on the back. There's still so much paper. What do we do? I'm loving that, right, Abstractory? Absolutely. I love the, like, where you can get that kind of subtleness out of it. Okay, here we go. A little bit more. Oops. Nice. What is this? This is the taking paper off for the 3rd time, but it's the 2nd time doing like the little fuzz, the fuzzy wuzzies. Oh, see, it wants to like come up on me. Okay, there we go. Nice. I'm getting more off, more fuzz. So you just work it until you get it to the level where you're happy with it. So this is level 3 right there. That's the third round of removing paper. And it's getting there. But it's fuzz. You're gonna have fuzz everywhere. Nice. I think it's almost there. I'm going to use the needle tool. The needle tool comes in handy for so many things. So I'm just gently lifting it. Wow. Okay. Now that may be enough for you. It may be, okay, enough paper has come off. It's okay that it's slightly translucent. Plus, when I add medium to it, like this, there we go. So I'm going to add my medium to the back of that now. And let's grab the brush, which is nice and moist. With medium, it's ready to rock and roll, right? Ready to go. And we're going to put a layer of medium. So I'm just holding it. This is just one of those circulars and I'm going off the edge, right? I'm just going off the edge from the center like this. There we go. A little bit more. There. So now that helps to hold the those little fibers. It's not going to be quite as clear as that other one because I did it 4 times on the other one. This one I did 4 times of taking the paper off, but it doesn't matter. Like you can do it to whatever layer, level you're comfortable. It's still got, can you see all of the writing underneath there? All the stuff underneath it? So there's plenty of transparency there, plenty to make that a lot of fun to put onto something. And that's just the skin. Now I could pick it up at this point and I could pick it up with my needle tool and it has medium on the bottom of it and I could put it right on top of whatever I'm working on. Okay. It's ready at that point for you to do that. But I like 2 coats of polymer medium to put on it because to me that gives me the most clarity. So I'm actually going to let that dry and then I'm going to put a second coat on. Now here's the little one that we did earlier, which was the packing tape, our packing tape transfer. So, and then I put a layer of polymer medium on. So let's lift this up right here. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Yeet. So now it's no longer tacky on the back, right? From the tape that we were working with. We've covered the tackiness of the tape with a layer of polymer medium or a layer of gel medium. And now that's ready for us to cut, to trim, and then glue down anywhere we want it. So that was fun. That was the first ones, the packing tape. I just love those. And it's dry already. Okay, so I'm putting my polymer medium back in here like that. Back in the bag, back in the paper towel to keep it moist while we're working. Nice. Off to the side it goes. Okay, so this will have to be set aside and then I will put a second coat of the polymer medium on it to get, good clarity going. Good clarity. We want excellent clarity. Okay, so that's that part. And then let me show you how to colorize them. There are 2 ways that I like to colorize them. I colorize my images by using them ahead of time. Like this came out of that botanical book. So let me show you the botanical book again. This one, Botanical Art. So the cool thing about this, because it has a download with it, remember I mentioned these, you can download the images onto your computer. So I put them on an external drive and now I can just look at the number and go find it in the download and then print the image to whatever size I want. I can print it big as a whole page. I can print it small, whatever your printer will allow you to do, right? And so this is a finished image transfer. So you see the skin, right? And but the pink that's on it, I put on with pencil. So I just used the black and white image out of that book. These are all black and white images originally out of that book that I just showed you. And so I use colored pencil on them. So here are these happen to be the Derwent Color Soft that I'll link in the description of the video. But if you have Prismacolors, if you have any kind of colored pencil that is not water soluble, okay, that's the trick. Because if these green marker pencils were color soluble, then when I went to put my medium on it, they would just streak everywhere, right? So do not use watercolor pencils. And so if you see a pencil like this that just looks like a colored pencil, if on here there is a paintbrush, see the little paintbrush right there? That means it is a water soluble pencil. You don't want that. You do not want a water soluble pencil. Let's see, this is one from Faber-Castell, I think. Caran d'Ache. There's the little brush. It's water soluble. Okay. Here's another one from Derwent, Inktense. There's a little brush. It's water soluble. Don't use those. only use your non-water soluble pencils. So for instance, this is one from Derwent, but there's no little brush on there. So I know this is a regular pencil, color pencil, that's not going to streak when I get it wet. Okay. And so these are my color soft pencils, which I like because the color comes off, a lot of color comes off. And so for uh, for instance, for the rose, I was using three colors, those three colors. And for this leaf, I used three colors of pencil because I want to get my lightest lights, my darkest darks, and my midtones. So for instance, here with the rose that I printed out of the book onto, this is an inkjet print. Okay, so it's not, you see how it comes out a little more gray as an inkjet print than those prints that we were doing um, from the big copiers, the toner copiers. Now, if I wanted a darker image, like if I wanted the black to be darker, I would take my image, print it onto my inkjet printer like this, and then I would take it over to a Kinko's or UPS store or something, and I would run a copy on their big copier and mark on it that this is an inkjet, for instance, like this. I would put on here inkjet, and then the one that was from the copier machine, I would write copier on that so that I can keep them straight, right? One's a toner copy, one's an inkjet copy. But the inkjet copy, as you can see here, it still works. It's just not quite as dark. That's all. So let's take this one and let me get a pad here. Let's see, do I have it or do I have it handy? I just need a surface to write on. So let me get something smooth like this. So here with the rose, I like to use three colors when I color. So here I've got a light, a medium, and a dark purple. Well, one of them is not quite purple, but that was the best I could do. So I've already gone and I've put a light coat of the light color, and anywhere that I want it to be white, I just don't put any color down because when I do the transfer, um, there won't be any color there. Okay, so here I just went in and I used a light coat of the light purple. And then I came back in with the darker purple. And then I'm darkening the areas that are going to be in shadow like this. So I'm coming in and I'm putting that in there. It's okay to overlap the colors a little bit also. Okay, there's a little bit of dark here. You can vary your pressure to get more color or less color also. Bear in mind when you do the transfer, not all the color is going to transfer. Some of this color is going to come up. Okay. So lay the color in heavier than you want your end result. And that may mean doing two coats, like going around once and then going around and darkening even more. So that was the lightest color, a mid-tone color, and then I'm going to put the darkest color down here. Now remember that this is just copier paper. So it's not going to have a lot of tooth to it, like your paper, if you were using a sketch paper or a drawing paper, has a lot more tooth to it, meaning you can get more layers. So here you're only going to get maybe two layers of pencil to lay down, and it's going to start to it just, the paper won't take anymore. It's just the way it is. So just bear that in mind, that the paper will take about two layers of color pencil. So then I'll go back with the darker again here. And I left it very light. I only put a little bit of the light there. Okay. So that's how you go in and you colorize your image using colored pencils. And then I had purple roses at my wedding. So that's why I chose to do my rose purple. Okay. And then this one is one that I colorized with the green pencils. And then I put 4 coats of polymer medium on it. Oh, see this little note here that says wipe? Before you put your polymer medium on it, use a paper towel and just wipe the pencil, because a little tiny bit of pencil color is coming up on my paper towel. And I want to be sure that that doesn't streak. So see the little bit of pencil that came off? So I'm burnishing the color into the paper by doing this. And that way it won't streak. There was a tiny, like you can barely even see it on this one, but there was a tiny bit of streaking on this one, and it can happen. It depends on your pencils and the paper that you're using. Okay. So let me go back to this one. So now we're going to create a skin with this where I have pencil. So you can see how dark that looks right there, right? You see how dark that is? Well, it's not going to look so dark when we transfer, when we take the, when we take that off, when we take the paper off, it is not going to be so dark, but it gives you a chance to colorize it a little bit. So let's just start somewhere. Remember, this is an inkjet copy. It is not a toner copy for the black parts. So see all this color that's coming off? See all of that, right? So a lot of color comes off when you do this, which is why it's really good to be quite gentle as you're doing the inkjet. See, yeah, a lot's coming off. A lot is coming off of this one. Dang it. They're not all 100% successful, are they? There we go. So I can see a whole bunch of the black is coming off here. So what that means is that I would have to take this particular image to see all the black here. I would have to take it to a copy shop and have it done as a toner copy instead of trying to do it as an inkjet for this one. Yeah, a lot of the black is coming off. But you know, you live and learn, you figure it out. Make sure you do tests. Like this is a test. Make sure you do tests because you want to know how things are going to function before you try to go to your bigger works, right? Or before you go onto your artwork. Okay. So this one is not creating the greatest skin in the world. There's a lot of areas where the see all that like sort of light greenish yellow? That's where the black came off. And you're seeing the shimmer from this in the background. Okay. So that one was not the greatest skin. I might, finish it anyway later and just see what I have, if it's workable or not. No, they're not always they're not always good to you, but my favorite, as you can see, is to use the toner copies. So that's my recommendation: is use the toner copies at least in the beginning, and then experiment or explore, because we all have different inkjet printers potentially. So you have to try different mediums. Like this one is the polymer medium. Maybe it would work better with a matte medium like that. We don't know. You have to try it. Make your notes, make your copious notes, right? Like I showed you in the beginning. Okay, let's make something. Let's make something. Now that we've been like just discussing how, I want to show you how to make one. I have one planned for you. So what I did here, oh, one more thing I need to show you before I do this. This one, ooh, you know what? I want to do this one right here. No, I'm going to do, yes, this one. Okay. So what I need to do now is I need to have a piece of, this is palette paper. You know what palette paper is? Palette paper is what it's shiny, so you can put your paint out on it. So here is, I am going to build here. I'm going to build a piece like this. We've got that. And then we're going to put this here. And then we're going to put this up here. Yee, like that. Okay. So we're going to build a painting with our skins, the skins that we made. And I want to put, this was my color photograph that was done on a big copier. That's why it transferred so well into a skin, right? And then this was a pencil drawing. See, that one actually didn't come out too badly. And that was the same printer and everything as this one. So I don't know why that one's not coming out as well, but it's very pale. And then this was a inkjet print on my inkjet printer as well, where you can see the Asian writing, right? But I wanted it to be subtle. So you can colorize your skins if you want to. So I'm going to show you this. Oh, and this is a piece of watercolor paper. And I put acrylic paint in the background. I wanted it to be light, so I used gold and silver together. So cool. Thank you, Abstractory. I used gold and silver together, so I would get a light color, kind of like a light pewter in the background, so that this would show up, right? So the writing shows up. The writing won't show up if the background is dark because this is transparent. There are ways that you can address that. So the first, I'm going to do this one first with just a light bit of paint in the background, and I'm going to use an ink, and I want a transparent ink because what I want to do is I just want to give this a little, I want to make it look old. I want to make it look old. So I'm going to use some sort of ink with it. And this one is a transparent burnt sienna. Oh, this one is not transparent. The yellow oxide, not transparent. Okay. But this one, transparent. So I'm going to take this one. I'm going to put a little bit of transparent iron oxide on here. Now you'll notice it's beating up, but that's okay. It's acrylic on acrylic, okay? And then I'm going to take a small damp brush. So I'm just going to take a brush. Let's get it damp and wick away some of the water so there's not too much. Oh yeah. So now I'm sort of giving it a bit of an aged look, right? That's what I wanted to do. I want it to be transparent, but I want it to have like a little bit of a sort of an interesting color in the background. So I'm just using a transparent ink. You could use an opaque ink, and we're going to use opaque next. It is beating up just a little bit on there, but it's okay. It's acrylic on acrylic. It's going to dry and it is going to be good. So you can still see through it. Nice. There's still little paper remnants at the top and the bottom, and I like that because it catches more of the ink, right? There we go. Isn't that fun? That just sort of aged it a little bit. Gives it a, a hint of color. All right. So that's a hint of color. Now, what if we want to colorize our piece? So like, for instance, this is the lotus. And I'm actually working on a piece over here where this is an image. It's a copier image. And I'm going to use the heat method and I'm going to apply it right there. These are some fish, some of my fish images I showed you earlier, their skins. The cool thing is I can have this fish, I can flip it over and have this fish going this direction and then flip this one over and have this one going this direction because I have skins, right? Or I can flip this back over and have them both going like this in that direction, however I want to do it. And then this is like some stones that I did. It's an image transfer of a picture that I did. Now this surface has 3 coats of polymer medium on it, and that's why it's sticking. So you just have to gently lift it because it kind of sticks a little bit. But this is exactly what I did here. So this is a skin, a stone's skin. This is a picture that I drew, and then I took it and had it made on a big copier. And then I made a skin out of it. And then I put some of the ink in the background, right? So that, and this is leftover paint here on, this is canvas. So it's not paper, it's canvas. It's a canvas pad. And I can audition my pieces and say, do I want that to go like that? Or do I want to flip it and have it go on there like that? Right? So we can do all kinds of auditioning if we've created skins. And I love that. And you can see that you can see the background color right through it there. But what if and my thought was to put this one up here, possibly, okay? Or maybe move it over this way a little bit. But if I were to put this on here, I have to decide, do I want it to go that way? In other words, facing in that direction, or do I want it to go this way, facing in that direction? I think I want it facing that direction. So on the back of it, I can paint it. So let's do that on this side. So I'm going to take a little bit of white. Let's see, what do I want to paint it? What color do I want to paint it? You can just use any acrylic paint. This is so much fun. So I want to use a pink. I'm going to use a pink. Oh, that's not pink. It looks pink, but it's not actually a pinkity pink. Let me find a really, really pink. Yes, vivid pink, right? Now this is palette paper I was showing you before, right? So I can just put paint on the palette paper. So let's use some of this pink right here, but I don't want it to be like quite so dark. I also want it to, I want it to be a lighter version of it. So I need a little bit of white. I'm looking on my table because usually I have white here on the table. I actually have some gesso and that's white. So let's take some white gesso. And I'm going to use a palette knife and I'm going to get some of the white. So let's palette knife. I don't need a lot, right? I just need a little, just a little. Let's mix it with the pink. So I have a really pale pink right here. Super pale pink. Nice. And then I'm going to use a little more pink here. So then I have a mid-tone. What do I like to do? I like to do a mid-tone, a dark, and a light. So there's sort of a mid-tone. So we have pale, dark, mid-tone. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to take a detail brush. So let's use this little detail brush. I like to get my brushes wet first before I dip into the paint. It helps the paint flow better. So this was just gesso, but you can use gesso or any white. I like the gesso because it gives it sort of a matte finish when it's dry. So I like using gesso as my white. Okay, so pale, pale, pale pink. We're going to put right up here on the tips. Okay. So we're going to put that right here. The nice thing is, because we put an opaque white in there, I'll show you in a minute once I get some more color on. When I flip it over, you're going to see this really cool effect. It's like reverse painting, all right? Okay, put some there, put some there. You don't have to be too neat about it. Be as neat as you want. As neat as you want. These are going to be a little more paint than that. The nice thing is you're going to have the black line showing on the other side. So that's why I say you don't have to be quite as careful, because that black line is going to help guide where the eye goes. Okay, there we go. I realize this is a little hard for y'all to see because it's such a light color, but we're going to get to the darker color here in just a second. I want this light one to start to dry. Light pink, lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, so now let's go, oops, we need to put a little bit of light pink just right along the edge right here of that one. Okay, so let me wipe this light pink off. Let's go to the medium pink. So now we're bringing medium pink. Now you should be able to see that a little bit better. The medium pink. But like I said, we're reverse painting. And you can build this up, but have y'all ever seen like where it's painted on glass, like little snuff bottles or something, and you're seeing the full image from the front of the glass, but the person painted from inside or behind the glass? Um, ah, then it's that kind of painting. Whatever you put down first is mostly what you're going to see, and then this is the second layer is going to be behind it. And somebody on YouTube asked, what's the difference between the front and the back? And thank you for that question. Earlier I was showing that what I did was I created a skin. So a skin is acrylic paint where I used an acrylic medium and created a clear skin. And then, so this is acrylic medium. In this case, it's polymer medium, or you can use a matte medium or a gloss medium. Okay. And I put 4 coats on the image, which was this picture in black um, was an image that I drew, and then I took it to a copier, a big copier, and I had it printed on copier paper. So that copier paper would be the kind of paper that has toner in it. Okay. So this was a toner copy, and I was able to create a skin out of the toner copy. So here we go, like that. Bring it down a little bit more. I'm not going to do the best job because we need to get on with it. So here, but I want you to have kind of the image of it when I flip it over and you look at the other side of it. So I'm doing a reverse painting, which is so much fun. So there's my mid-tone right there. And then in just a second, I'm going to put on the darkest layer, right? I'm not making it perfect. I'm just want to give you an idea of how the image is going to turn out. Almost there, almost there. You can see where your detail brushes can come in handy for this kind of work, right? Ah. Okay, a little bit more, a little bit more. Here, I actually want to put some of it up in there. There we go, here. And a little bit more down here. There we go. So that's the mid-tone. Whoops. Yeah, we'll put some mid-tone right in here too. So that is the mid-tone. So we have the lightest pink, and then we have the mid-tone. And then let's go ahead and dive into the dark, the color right out of the tube, which is definitely darker. It looks like this color is transparent though. So it's not coming up as dark as it looks there. It's one of those things I would probably have to put a second coat on there in order to have it come out right, because it's transparent. That dark pink color is transparent. Okay, now let me put a little bit of it on here so you can get the effect. We want the effect. Like I said, you don't have to be so careful, because the lines are gonna define the shape for you. Let's put some here. Let's put some down here. You're gonna be like, wow. When I flip it over, you're gonna be like, whoa, that is so cool. I don't know if y'all have ever seen like reverse painting. It's amazing. The people who do it like on the glass, it's wow. They are extremely talented. Okay, let's get a little bit more here. Almost done, almost done. Then we can flip it over and you'll see what I mean. There we go. Nice. Some more down there. Just a tiny bit more in here. A little bit more in there. A little bit more in there. And then right along the edge there. Come on, edge. Okay, there we go. Close enough. Close enough for right now. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over. Can you see? I'm going to dig in my craft room for a copy of something to try this on tonight, right? You see how it looks on this side? Isn't that pretty? It's so pretty. Oh my goodness. I just love that. It's so much, so pretty. So, like I said, you don't have to be quite so neat in the background. Now I do have to let that completely dry. Whoa, let's see. I'm trying not to get paint on the front as well. Did I? Did I get a little bit of paint right there? Yes. Okay. So I'm trying not to make like too much of a mess there. Let's put it right there. Hee hee. Let's do this. Now, at this point also, once it's fully dry, if I want to, I can cut around the edge. I don't have to leave all of this around the edge here. I can cut it, cut, 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 and to make it more succinct, right? In there. Isn't that fun? Oh my gosh, y'all. I love that. Love, love, love that. Okay. So this was purposefully using the transparent, and this was adding some opaque white so that I could get some opaqueness in order to be able to create that this beautiful effect. Beautiful effect. So fun. You can decide on your colors you want later. You can decide whether you want to paint on this side or this side by flipping it, doing all that. Like I said, this has several layers of polymer medium on it. It is a copier print. So I'll use heat and I'll put it down on here. Or maybe I'll move it. Maybe I'll move it over here. I don't know. And then I'll put the fish, and I can do the same thing. I can paint on the fish once I decide what direction they're going in, flipping one way or the other, right? The possibilities are endless. Okay, let's make this other piece. So let me take this off of here. I'm going to set that aside. You stay over there, darling. Okay, so now we've got this, which is aged. And I have to look at it to see which direction the Chinese is going in. Okay, it has to go this way because I grew up in Asia, so I know what direction the characters are supposed to go. I don't always know what the characters say, but I know what direction they're supposed to go in. So this, now I have two choices here. I can either position it and then use heat, right? There we go. Yeah, I need to move it over just a tiny bit more. What? That's crazy. It's crazy. It's so cool. So I will audition all the pieces first. See, it's like micro bits that I need to move it over. And I may also decide to raise it or lower it. I don't know. Okay, that's about where I want it to go. And then what did I do with my other piece? Hello. I'm looking for my other pieces. Aren't I famous at this now? By now, you know that I'm famous at like, where did I put it? They were right here. Okay, I have this one. I have these. Let me move these out of the way. Sorry about that, y'all. I only have a small area. When I'm in the big part of my studio, everything's out and I can see it. Here it is. That's why I covered them up. I covered them up with the paint tubes. Okay, so this here, whoops. Ooh, actually, I decided I wanted to do it this way. If you look here, do you see there's a little bit of roughness right here? I was like, I don't like that. Okay, so I'm going to actually put this up here. because then it sort of covers that up just a little bit. Oh, I need to move it over a little bit more. And then let's see if I take this and I put it right there. And then this, which I think is so pretty. Remember, I could flip it either way. I could either do it this way, like that, or I could flip it the other way. Yoop. The cool thing is when you press on these, they sort of stick to each other just a little bit. And that's so cool. Okay, so that's what it's looking like. Something like that. Do I want to move this? I'm thinking I want to move this. I want this down just a little bit more. So you can audition. This I want to move down just a little bit more. Okay, let's move you down a little bit. Eee. Okay, you go there. And then this one here. Nice. And then this one. Ooh. Right. I think I'm gonna do it this way. Right here, because I want the flower to go off the top like that. Makes me think of color forms. Yes, abstractory, exactly. Oh, I like that. Okay, I like where it's going. I do like where it's going. So I can either put these down with heat or I can put them down with medium. Okay, so um, actually, if I wanted to put this one down with heat, I would have to put a coat of polymer medium over top of, once this was dry, this is that acrylic ink. Once it's dry, I would put another coat of polymer medium over it because that would lock that color, that pigment into place, and then it would be ready to put down. But I think for purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to use medium to put them down, okay? So, but normally I would use heat. I would get a big piece of this. Actually, let's see if it'll go down with heat. Let's try it with heat. What the heck? If it doesn't go down, nothing lost. We'll just use the medium. So let me move it down that little bit more because I wanted it to be a little bit lower, right? Let's get that right there. Lovely, lovely. It's in the right place. Let's heat. Did I turn it on? Come on. I'm just yammering and I didn't turn it on. Okay, turned it on. So now it's doing its thing. We're going to try the heat. We'll see if the heat works with the acrylic paint underneath here. These have polymer medium on both sides. So they will stick to other things that have polymer medium on it just with heat. But if I put wetness, this wet stuff underneath this, then they may not stick. So that's why I'm doing this. Okay, it looks like it needs to, it's not quite straight. No, it has to be straight. It's a beautiful thing. You can take your time and get it just right. Is that right? Yes, that's right. Okay. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Hey there, what? Ship of Shippy Verma. Welcome in, welcome in. So I'm making sure it's nice and flat with my hand here. Nice and flat, but I have it where I want it. This is the parchment paper. Okay, the heat is heating up. I bet if I do this, it's gonna burn it. Is it gonna burn it yet? Nope, it's not that hot yet. I know it's hot. Yeah, it's hot. Okay, so since it's hot, I'm just gonna go ahead and start before it gets too hot, right? So it's just, this is a transfer tip. So it's getting hot, getting hot. I don't want to touch the polymer medium with this tip because if I do, it's going to burn or lift up the polymer medium, okay? I don't want that to happen. Okay, so I'm actually going to turn it off right now because I can feel that it's hot enough. Oh, okay, let's do this part right here. We will continue. Can you see how this would be much faster and more convenient on a large piece? If you were working on a really big piece, you want to use either a regular iron or a quilting iron, which has a head about that size. But no steam. Don't ever use steam. Always just use heat. Okay. So what it's doing is it is fusing the layers of polymer together. Okay. Oh, okay. That is like amazing. 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 Now I'm going to turn the heat back on just to be sure it stays at heat. If I had one of the new ones with the what is it, rheostat on it, it would be a lot easier because I could set the temperature to the correct temperature. But I'm working with what I have. That's what we do. We work with what we have. So this is transferring it on. Isn't this amazing? Abstractory, did you know about this polymer medium heat method? I don't know if it works with the regular gel medium. I only am aware of it working with the polymer medium. But oh yeah, we did get a transfer to happen from the copier machine copies onto the gel medium surface. I just don't know if you can attach a gel medium item to another gel medium item just with heat. I don't know that. Oh yeah, actually we did do it. We did do it. So yes, you can, even with the other gel mediums. Okay. Getting it really well attached here. So do you see how you can make all these incredible layers of transparency and translucency among various skins that you have, right? I'm just going to turn this off for a second while I place the next piece. Turning off that transfer tool. All right, let's decide where we want this. Yee. Are you sitting right, you? And then where we want this. So I'm just going to go right here. That's how I wanted it. Lovely, 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 lovely. Oh my gosh. This needs to move this way just a tiny bit. Let's see. And it's too far over that way. I'm going to turn it over and see this way. Maybe I get a better positioning this way, maybe. Let's see. I'm looking at here, up here. The sitting statue is not exactly square from when the potters made it. Okay, let's see. How does that look? Does that look good? I think that looks good. Now, of course, we've got this layer has to go down before this layer goes down, right? So somebody asked on YouTube, they said, ooh, what's that? We are doing image transfers using skins that we've made out of either polymer medium, which is an acrylic medium, or gel mediums, both acrylic mediums. And the nice thing is when you create a skin like this with a transfer image, which these are images from, this is an image from a big copier, but these two images are from an inkjet printer, so that's why they're lighter. And okay, and we're using the heat transfer method right now to put this down on there. So I'm starting in the middle. moving out. I can feel that it's heated. Nice. I really want to work on those edges because I don't want these edges to curl, but I'm sort of going from the middle out. From the middle out. It's still on. The heat tool is still on. So if I see it begin to scorch the parchment paper, then I will turn it off and wait just a moment. Sometimes though, when you're moving it a lot, it can be a little bit hotter and it's okay. There it is. I can see the image is going down there. That is so cool. Okay. Just about down. So it's polymer medium onto polymer medium. Nice. Now I'm going to turn this off so I don't burn myself. Ah! Okay. Looky there. Nice. So that is now glued or melded down onto the background and to this. And you can still see the color from the pencil, right? Because that was a um, inkjet print with my pencil on it. So the color's showing up a little bit. Okay, now let's decide where we want this to go exactly. Where do we want you to go? I may have to swing you just a little bit this way. That looks good. No, the face is a little bit too, the face is not exactly center of the body. Let's see, so it is gonna be over just a little bit. Is that better? Let's move it just the tiniest bit more, get it positioned right where I want it. Yee. Okay, let's try that. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now I'm gonna take the paper, I'm gonna turn this back on. It had a chance to cool a little bit. I'm gonna turn it back on. There we go. This is so exciting, isn't it? Just make sure. Okay, that is sort of melting into the one in the background. Oh, it's okay. Let's make it melt, 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 melt into the background. Okay. Lovely, lovely. It's working. Here we go, here we go. And I'm gonna carefully take that off and bring it down here so I can look in this area. And then I can just, if I want to, I can just put my signature on it and it'll be done, right? Done. So let's just cover over this, getting all the areas there, kind of starting from the middle and moving out so that I don't want to have any big bubbles underneath there, do I? No, 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 no bubbles, no bubbles. That's another reason for sort of pressing it down. You want to try to address any bubbles that might get captured under there before you start doing this part. Okay, let's go there. Whoops. Don't want a wrinkle in there. Nope. Okay. All along the edge there. All along the edge here. Lovely. Okay. Nice. So I'm going to turn this off. And if you weren't here earlier, it came with a little stand, a little metal stand. So I'm going to set it on the little metal stand like this off to the side so that I don't burn myself. Don't do it. Gently take that off of there. Oh my gosh, y'all. Okay. There it is. So that's the piece with all the transfers. The interesting thing I can see here is this transfer is thicker than this transfer was. I had more layers of the gel meat of the polymer medium on there. So there's a little bit of a line right here because of the difference in the thickness. Amazing, right? But if you're laying out like thinner ones, like this is thinner and this one's a little bit thinner, you can see there's almost no, like, it's just, now I can choose to draw on it with acrylic markers. I have acrylic markers like this. I can go on top of it with a, whatever this is, a gel pens, whatever you can put on top of acrylic paint, I can now go back and put on top of this if I wanted to. Or I could just sign it and call it done, right? What would it look like in a mat? Let's see, does it go in a regular mat? I don't know if it fits in a regular mat. It does not, but you know, it would look really cool. It would look really cool. Ah, I don't have one here. I have one of these. Let's see if this would work. Doo-doo. Like that. Can you see that on the camera? Here, let me move it over a little bit. There you go. So it would look cool to do something like a double mat like that. Put it on there like that. Right? Woohoo! So image transfers, y'all. I had to do a lot of preparing for that. Lots of preparing because you can see all the layers of the mediums you have to put on there, right? And all of the times you have to go to the sink to take off all of those paper layers. I'm very inspired. Oi! That is awesome. I'm so glad. I can't wait for you to message me and whatnot and show me what you done. Some of my students do that. They'll message me and be like, "Look, I made this using that, technique or whatever." And I'm like, "That is so cool. I love it." Okay, so that is the end of the workshop portion of the show.